Welcome to Options Brew TV. I am your host, Lex, and with us today we have a fantastic guest, Mr. Lee Gray of Trade Unafraid. Good afternoon, Lee. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Lex, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, I'm reading the bio. I'm reading the information. Just to our audience, we send these little questionnaires out. Our guests get to fill this stuff out. It gives me a little roadmap. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background relative to this whole trading experience, and how you got to where you are? Because this is fascinating. I know your product's awesome. Have at it, if you would.
Thanks. Yeah. So my life is filled with writing software. I've been doing that since basically I was a kid, and trading was something that always appealed to me. And so I think it was 1998. I actually took the Optionetics course with George Fontenelles, and the first thing I said when I was sitting in there is, "There's no way I'm doing this by hand. I'm going to write some software." So, and out of that, something called Option Insight was born, and Option Insight was something that I basically gave away for a few years. I was solving problems that you would never have to solve today. Like, I was scraping data off of the screen. I kind of invented web services because there was no, there were no APIs at that time. The word API didn't exist at that time.
Mhm.
So Option Insight was a way to take all the possible options and combine them to make all the possible spreads and then filter them to get the best possible spreads. And people loved it. I mean, tens of thousands of downloads. Unfortunately, it never made me any money. That's the first time that I started writing software and trading. Combined them. Since then, I've done a lot of automated trading systems, and I have done sort of grid bots, as they're known today. A lot of things based on a book called Vibrant Trading, which was very interesting. But I started day trading, and I started to find that the software that the industry provided was inadequate. I knew what you could do in software, and I knew that what they were giving me wasn't what I needed and wasn't what was possible.
Mhm.
And so that's how Trade Unafraid came to be. Is I just started working on doing it the way I knew it could be done, and it just became a business. It's like,
Nice. Well, yeah, I want to let the folks know that it's a great business. You're a great partner of Trade Ears, which, we totally appreciate. I'm excited to learn more. You mentioned a few words along the way here. I want to make sure we unpack everything so that people understand exactly what's what. So we have a vast array of audience from all different skill levels, right? And technological understanding levels, me being on the lowest end of that. But you said vibrating grid bots. Tell us what that means. I think I know, but let's hear it from the creator's mouth.
yeah. So and just we may be getting off on a tangent that isn't really Trade Unafraid at this point. But the interesting thing is that's really where the name Trade Unafraid came from.
Okay.
Is the first generation of Trade Unafraid was really implementing a grid bot, and that basically means it's a way to manage a position with buys and sells as price moves up and down. So, as we know that price will stay in a range and it will retrace, and there are opportunities there to be able to, buy low and sell high over and over again in small increments. And so that's basically what it is. Now, Vibrant Trading is a book that went into much more scientific detail about it and made it a whole academic thing. And I spent a long time with that book and implemented a lot of things. Anyway, we ended up keeping the name Trade Unafraid. And one day I'd like to actually add the bots to the product, but the product is actually not that. It's a Trade Unafraid in its current form is truly a trading platform that would compete with, Thinkorswim or Webull or
Sure.
anybody.
Got
So
it. Okay. So, and then option centric, I'm assuming, or at least has a huge option component, right?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great.
And the other important thing is it provides automation above and beyond what anybody else does, and
Terrific.
we're going to get into a lot of that.
Okay.
So here we're in a position. You can see the tactics that are active.
Mm-hmm.
If I hover on this red line, you can see that this is my candle trail stop,
Okay.
and this one below it is the ratchet bracket stop. We're about to hit a target. Well, actually, we have hit one target. We have some realized profit. Um, so there's a lot of things I can show here.
Let's do it.
Trading with agility, that is a really important thing. So let's talk about that. So in the way people trade today is the trader places a trade through their trading platform and it goes to the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. The trading platform is a pass through to the exchange. And that, it's like it's not adding value. Where the value add is in trading platforms is in charting and research and those kinds of features, but it's not in order management. So that means it's all on you. All the ideas, all the
Sure.
it's like you can set some alerts, but it's all in the trader's hands.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So for example, if you have an OCO bracket and let's say you have 5 contracts and you decide you want to take a partial profit, that means that you have to do some juggling with your trading platform to make room for that partial profit, because the exchange won't accept a sell order if you've already got your entire position accounted for in your bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are the kinds of things that I knew software could do better, and it bothered me. So that's just a simple example.
Sure.
Option selection, that it's like you look at a grid or a chain, and it's like you got to do a lot of math in your head. It's like to pick what you want to do, and if you're scalping or doing short-term trading, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Very often you'll see a bunch of stocks move and you find yourself in the wrong one. So that really speaks to missing out on opportunities, because there's only so much one person can do with one mouse and one keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that has gotten me so many times is you see a higher time frame setting up, but not ready. And it's so easy to miss it. I mean, you can set an alert for yourself, but as it develops and price moves, that alert may no longer be in the right place. So, it's very easy to not be there at the right time to catch a nice move.
Right.
Do you relate to these things?
Yeah, I do. I guess what I want to do. Let me go back to here for a second. I want to ask a question. So I saw what you did there. I totally understand it. What sort of time frame are we talking about in your world? Are we day trading? Are we swing trading? Are we investing? How long are we holding these positions to, or whatever you're setting up? That's my first question.
Well, I would say Trade Unafraid can work in any time frame, but where it really excels is in scalping and day trading, because short-term trades, it has more opportunity to help you. If you're in a longer-term trade, you don't necessarily need a lot of assistance from software.
Sure.
There's not a lot of ordering going on.
Right.
So, that's really where it makes the most difference.
Okay, that makes sense. So, I assume I was looking at minute charts on that screen.
Well, actually, like the prior chart, this is an hour chart, and
okay.
the point there is, what I said about shorter term making a bigger difference, that's not necessarily true when it comes to entries, because those longer time frame setups take a while to develop. And if you're not watching it, then you may miss it. And the software has infinite patience. So it can look and it can watch for you and actually enter for you or alert you if that's what you want.
Okay, understood. And I'm gonna ask a question. You may be getting to this, but if you are, then we'll push it off.
Okay.
So with these setups, and I'm going to use that word, and it might not be the right word. With these setups, does your software allow for a trigger of sorts so that it can get you into the trade without emotion based on a set of data that maybe you ran yourself or the system does? Is that what happens here?
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
and you'll see that price actions included. So, and there are filters.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's really. I mean, this software is a way to have an assistant that is. It understands what you want to do, and it'll take care of it if you're not there to do it.
Great. Perfect. I love it. Okay, good. So that all makes sense.
Okay, great.
This is fantastic. You know what I always like to say? Look, I traded on the floor. I mean, and people always say, "You're so damn old. I didn't even know you guys still existed." I'm like, I know, I get that part. But we didn't have this, right? We were always there and present. Then when we moved off floor, it was like, well, I don't want to sit in front of the stupid computer all my whole day. I want to go do stuff. And
Right.
this is the answer right here. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, and you'll see that as we get into it, it's really a very nice combination of automation plus manual controls that,
Perfect.
it's like with a lot of automation, you feel like you're out of control. And,
Yep.
this is not that.
Good. Okay, love it. Okay, sorry, Lee. Go ahead. I'll keep
No
interrupting,
problem.
but that was awesome. Thank you for that.
Thanks. So, I love this hours of boredom punctuated by moments of terror. I think I heard it applied to police work, but I looked it up. It either has to do with war or being a pilot. But I think it applies really well to being a trader too.
Sure.
So,
That is
so
true.
and we kind of talked about these things, so I won't dwell on them. But things take too long to happen. Things take they're too hard to do. Multiple clicks, math in your head. You're distracted doing one thing and missing other opportunities, especially when everything's happening at once. Everything just starts going down, and it's like, you could have made maybe 3 or 4 or 5 more trades than you were able to do by hand.
Yep.
Multiple things may require your attention at the same time. This leads to things like decision fatigue, hopium. It's like you're sitting there watching something that's not going well, and you spend so much energy trying to decide, is it going to go my way? Do I get out or do I hang on? And it's exhausting. And so by the end of the trading day, you're drained. It's like
Mhm.
you've you've had muscles that are tensed because you're trying to affect the way the price moves.
Wait
So
a minute. You just described me in my off-floor trading world. That's it. That's all me right there.
yeah, exactly. And believe me, I'm only aware of this from my own personal experience.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay.
So here's the what if. What if we could take that trading, these trading ideas and put them into the platform, and really, and I put them back in the trader here because Trade Unafraid is your assistant. It's not
Mhm.
taking over. It's not a black box or some automation system. It's really it's an assistant. It's your wingman that is trading with you and taking care of the things to offload them from you so that you can focus on the bigger picture. You
Mhm.
can intervene where you want to. So that's the basic idea. How do we do this? This is where the secret sauce is.
Okay.
First of all, we do trade plans. So you literally create a trade plan, and that includes a setup, maybe some filters, option selection, entry tactic, exit tactics. Um, so you literally have specified a trade plan to a degree that no one ever does. And
Mhm.
don't be intimidated. It's like it's all configuration. It's not like you have to be clairvoyant. You just have to know where your stops and your targets should be in a generalized way.
Mhm. Got it.
There are cooperating tactics. So one of the things we do is that we allow you to place multiple stops in a way that an exchange would never accept. So an exchange will not let you, as in the OCO bracket example,
Hmm.
they won't let you have more exits than your position. We do. And we do that by having tactics that all know about each other and go into a cohesive trade plan, which lets you do multiple exits of different types, and whatever happens first wins. So,
Let me interrupt, Lee, real quick,
yeah, go ahead.
just for clarity there. So you're saying that the market center holds OCOs pretty standard, I would say. So if you have a 5 lot, I think was your example, you can put
Hmm.
a 5 lot and a 5 lot out, limit and a stop, right?
Right.
So I think what you're telling me is that with your software, you can put out 5 1 lots. Is that correct? Or can you go beyond 5
You
and
can
the
go
system
beyond 5.
knows that once you get to 5, sorry, the other ones aren't going to fill as a closing order because everything's closed.
Yeah, well, actually, what you're asking leads me exactly to this bullet, which is we use something called soft orders.
Okay.
So rather than all your orders sitting at the exchange where they would reject everything but the first one,
Sure.
we manage your orders in your trading server. So each user, by the way, has their own server dedicated to them. It's getting pummeled by market data.
Mhm.
Every quote, tick by tick. It is looking at every tactic and every stock to decide, do I need to do anything?
Sure.
Has something triggered? So when that happens, we immediately go to the exchange and place that order.
Okay.
So we use your API, and it works fantastic. It's so
Understood.
fast.
Okay. So do these soft orders? I like that term, by the way. Do they sit on this individual server? When the session's over at Trade Unafraid, do they disappear and you have to restart them the next day?
It depends on, well, we have a button in your trade plan called flatten at close.
Yep.
So if you click that, then everything goes away. The entire trade plan completes at 3:59,
Got it.
Eastern,
Hmm.
um, as the market closes.
Hmm.
If you don't, then if you're in a swing trade or longer term trade, um, the tactics will remain. And so now we're actually working on some of this right now to
Hmm.
make longer term trades work better.
Sure.
But that's a piece of work under development. But for day trading, it we'll talk about it, but you can have repeating trade plans. You can
Okay.
have trade plans that end at the close. You can have trade plans that persist for forever.
Got it. Okay. Great. I'll
Yeah.
wait to see. That's
Okay.
awesome.
All right. So, what we're really talking about here is dynamic trade management. So it includes not just your exits, but your entries.
Hmm.
And you'll see as we get into the product that, you can have an entry point that moves with price action, and the software knows that, and it knows how to follow that. I don't have to take any action, and my trade plan will play out.
Got it.
And then, as I've mentioned, hybrid automation. So it's not, the automation doesn't own the show. It just is there to assist you. You still remain in control. So very quickly, the benefits. For one, this is one that one of our users said, is this forces me to create specific rules. And one of the benefits there is it's repeatable, and you can apply analytics to actually learn what's working and tweak your rules.
Hmm.
You can duplicate yourself. This is another one that one of our users loves. That he can catch more opportunities. There's no way he could trade as many things by hand as he can do with Trade Unafraid.
Hmm.
And as I mentioned before, simultaneous breaks, when everything moves at the same time, you can hopefully catch more than one of those.
Sure.
One of the things that I've seen so many times as somebody who suffers with some hopium is emotionlessly taking a loss. I mean, there's no hesitation. The software just follows the rule and it gets out. And
Right.
that's, I've done some analysis, and I mean, for sure, devastating losses are why traders lose. It's like, that's why they find another career.
This is one of my stress points too, was
Yeah.
the emotionless trading. In my past life, when we did this professionally, we built our algo to be like that because we found the same thing.
Yeah.
Human beings have this horrible habit of putting emotion in a spot that doesn't, that does affect the cloud up here.
Absolutely.
So we try to eliminate that with exactly what you're describing. So this is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Another thing is that it's extremely fast, and I have Fastly there because I have one example that I blogged about where I was in a trading room. The trader who ran the room took the same trade at the same time I did.
Hmm.
He lost $100. I made $100, and that's because Trade Unafraid actually put the targets out there,
Hmm.
and it was a big, just a pop and drop kind of thing.
Sure.
In 8 seconds, I think it hit 7 of the 8 targets and then dropped. So I made $100 where he lost 100. And
Nice.
there's no way that could have been done by hand. That was software only.
Yep.
It allows you to instantly choose an option, which is really helpful.
What does that mean, Lee? Sorry. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So there's two things to choosing an option. One is what universe of options are you willing to allow? So
Mhm.
you get to define if there's a specific contract that you want to trade, you can say that, and that's all it'll trade. But you can also set it up to look for the tightest spread,
Mm.
or for I just want to trade one strike out of the money or one strike in the money,
Mhm.
and whenever it triggers, it will at that point choose the one that's in the money or out of the money.
Mhm.
So the software frees you up from having to choose a particular contract if you want to allow it to do that.
Got it. Okay. Understood. Very nice.
We also have filters. There was a chime that was a trade.
I heard that. Does that mean is that a fill?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So you can also set up filters to filter out wide spreads. So your setup looks great, but for some reason the spread's too wide, and you just won't take that trade. That can save you very often.
Got it.
Option orders based on stock price,
Nice.
and we can through your API we can do something called working orders, which can hopefully get you filled inside the spread. So we know the bid and the ask, and you can say I want to do 50% or whatever. You can just sit on the bid, whatever you want to do, and it will work the order. So it'll keep as the quotes come in. It may work towards the ask if you're trying to get in.
Mhm.
It's up to you how you configure it.
So does
And
that actually send out an order to the market center or not? Is that a
yes,
resting order when you? I'm assuming you're automatically modifying these. Is that right?
yes, these are limit orders that are getting updated.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
and you have control over. It's like you may want to be aggressive on your entries
Mhm.
and very easygoing on your stops.
Right.
So you can control how you
Sure.
work orders based on, is it an entry, is it a stop, or is it a
Mhm.
target?
Understood. Do you use market orders at all, or do you
Okay.
are you shy away from that? Are you?
We do, although we actually have some other features, like we will look at for example, if you're buying, we'll look at the ask size if you're on a market order, and
Mhm.
if your quantity is greater than the ask size, then we'll turn it into a limit order to help you from getting some horrible fill. Because without knowing the depth of the market, you
Right.
could potentially get some really bad subsequent fills.
Got it. Oh, that's good.
We have tactics that detect reversals. So it'll either, and these are configurable also, you can compare this current price to the previous candle, and
Mhm.
if it retraces by a certain amount, you can consider that a reversal and get out without having to take your entire stop. And we can also do the same thing with your profit and loss, that if so that you prevent your winners from becoming losers.
Mhm.
Once you've hit some trigger, then we'll watch for it and prevent you from going beyond some percentage that you specify. So nothing in here is a black box. You configure every bit of it.
Sure.
And there you go, not a black box.
Okay.
So we consider it a trading platform with superpowers.
Got it. So it sounds like there's a massive toolbox of things to choose from in Trade Unafraid. Is that right? So user
There
can
is.
pull things out of the toolbox, create these trigger entries and bracket exits and whatever else is in there, but it's your it's your toolbox of things to choose from. Is that
That's
accurate?
right. That's
Okay.
right. And we'll get to the form and it'll make more sense. So the next thing is we have great manual controls. And this goes back to the OCO bracket example again. We have, you've got all these stops and all these targets that the software put out there for you. If you want to sell 25% of your position, you just click a button. You don't have to adjust anything. It's like there's nothing more to do than just say sell 25% or add 25% or
Sure.
whatever you want. So you have all the automation plus easier manual controls than you do with other platforms.
Got it.
One of the byproducts, as we've talked about, patience, discipline, and just better psychology are just, they're a byproduct of working with a trade plan, working with software that's going to implement that trade plan. It's easier to cover more ground with less effort. This is a teaser. This is some of our analytics that they're not available yet, but as I said, we're keeping track of a lot of information about each trade.
Mhm.
So you have the ability to analyze things at a much more granular level than you can with any other trading journal because they don't know about things like your trade plan configuration.
Sure.
So, there's some exciting stuff coming. This is not yet available though.
Okay, cool. I won't ask them yet. So
Yeah. Okay. And I just wanted to say a little bit. We have a great community of users, and they're very enthusiastic. One of our exit tactics is called ratchet brackets, and
okay.
so people love ratchet brackets, but it's actually, I think, been surpassed by another one called candle magnitude exits.
Okay.
And then down at the bottom right, it just says your platform makes it so damn easy, and that's music to my ears because that's the
Right.
whole idea. Is that's why it exists.
Yep, that's awesome. I love it.
This is Trade Unafraid.
Okay, I'm expanding here. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, this is web-based. You access it in your browser, but you are actually talking to a browser located in New York. So no matter where you are, the
Okay,
browser is located, close to the exchange. And, I realize it could be Chicago too, but
sure. So you have
so
these virtually set up these servers of sorts, right? And
yeah,
then a customer somehow gets access to these servers, digitally and however you do it.
right. It automatically, when you register, the server gets configured and
Yep.
the software installed. You get a couple of emails, and you're up and running in like 10 or 15 minutes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Take us through this. What are we looking at?
Okay. So these are active trade plans. You can
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell, but this green outline tells you that this is an open. There's a position there,
Okay.
and so you can see that its state is entered. There are other states. There's deactivated. There's armed. So here, where this is a short on Costco, it has $3.60 unrealized and $10.40 realized.
Okay.
The position is 60 shares,
Okay.
and these are orders that are actually these are the targets that are already out there. So these are actually sent to the exchange.
Okay.
So
Are these closing target orders or are these opening to get back in again?
these are closing. In
Okay.
the way this trade plan is configured, these are closing.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
was this a short to begin with? Is that the idea? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. Yeah. So here, I'll expand them all. Now see, that just closed. It hit a stop.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm clear here. When you're ready to start a new trade plan, I'm assuming that's what this is going to be.
Yes.
We hit this button and we're going to get the template that's going to allow us to build this thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you're going to take us through building one of these. Is that right?
Yeah. And
Okay. Perfect.
The one thing I want to say before, because this is an intimidating form, we know that. And so one thing really important is that these two buttons, share and import.
Okay.
And there's also save and load.
Mhm.
So you have the ability to create a trade plan one time and then reuse it. You can also share it with somebody else and they can share with you and you can import.
Okay.
So you can sort the trade plans. And one of the best ways that I find to do it is sort by status, which means the filled trade plans will bubble to the top.
Okay.
And so, here we're in another position, Costco short again. And so anyway, we can also, these buttons control all the trade plans so you can expand them all.
Hmm.
Um, One thing I'll point out, a trade plan can be both long and short, meaning if you have the right kind of a setup,
Hmm.
one trade plan can handle long trades and short trades.
Okay.
So,
I think I understand that, meaning it can get to the short zone or the long zone, and depending on which happens first, it would
right,
function
right.
accordingly. Okay. Or
Yeah, so
got
it's
it.
not going to be in both at the same time, but it's a bi-directional trade plan that
Got it.
can,
Understood.
yeah. You can set your quantity basis based on either the quantity you want to trade or based on dollars. So
Hmm.
if you want to allocate a certain amount to every trade, you can do that.
Got it.
If you're trading stock shares, then you can use a comma separated list and basically make multiple trade plans with one click. So that's, you see that we have IWM and the Qs and diamonds and SPY is off screen, but you can do that with just the same trade plan and a comma separated list of
Okay.
symbols.
Seems like that would be useful for similar type entities as you have here, macro type
Right,
indices in this case.
right.
Yeah. Good.
Um, Here is the work orders area.
Okay.
Here's the ability to repeat a trade plan. So you can have a trade plan actually run, place a trade, run through a trade plan, close, and then start looking again for the same setup.
Got it.
So, if you have the right kind of trigger, you can do that.
Let me ask you a question again, Lee. Sorry, this is interesting.
Good.
When you say entry eggs, let me just say entry. When you say entries, are we always looking at candle formations or patterns? Is that the basis of an entry typically, or is it something else as well?
Here's our setups right now.
Okay.
So you can do a bounce or a break based on just a price level.
Yep.
There's some things here that are very um, they're they were written specifically for a particular trading room,
Hmm.
but they're more generic than that. So, for
Sure.
example, a conviction candle was done something. It's a really nice strategy. Actually, it works great at 9:30 in the morning. As the market opens,
Sure.
you can catch follow through on the second candle. So the 9:31 candle. I'm talking Eastern. I know
Hmm.
you're in Central Time.
That's
Um,
okay.
but if there is a certain amount of conviction represented in that first candle, then you can assume your setup can trigger based on follow through.
Sure.
So, if you want a candle where the close is in the top 80%, let's say,
Hmm.
and this also can look at the gap and compare how's the gap compared to this candle. Like,
Hmm.
is the candle agreeing with the gap? Um, so that helps you to know, do I trust that there's going to be follow through on, if it's gapped up and it closes near the top, then
Hmm.
I want to be in there when it breaks the top on the 931 candle,
Got it.
that kind of thing. So, you know, I realize that's a lot to absorb for something that is, it's there's some complexity in some of these. Some of them are very simple, and so you can create patterns based on that. And actually, a lot of our traders are into the strat, and so you can create a pattern like, let's say, I want to do a 3-1-2. So
Hmm.
that means any outside candle followed by an inside candle when it breaks that inside candle, I want to take it whichever direction it goes.
Got
You
it.
can specify the duration. You can do it on a 5-minute candle, or you can do it on an hourly candle, whatever you
Mhm.
want. We have opening range breakouts based on whatever candle duration you want. There are candle triggers. So if you want to, if you want to do a break of the previous month's high, you can do that. This would
Mhm.
be one. So there's bounces off of exponential moving averages.
Okay.
And then aside from all of that, there is ad hoc, meaning I just want a trade plan that will manage my trade and I can enter manually.
Okay.
So
So
that,
can you put combinations of these things together too? I mean, some of them might not make sense to put together, but other ones probably do. So can you do combinations of conditions?
well, the setups you can't, the exits you can.
Okay.
And the other thing that you can do, we have setup filters that can, well, actually, no, what I wanted to say, we have a candle break that is kind of like what you're talking about. So I find this really useful when doing a bounce off of an exponential moving average.
Right.
So for example, I want to bounce long off of the 21 EMA on the 5-minute, but I don't want to just blindly get in when it touches the EMA. I want
Sure.
to see some confirmation. And that's what this candle break can be. So I can say, all right, I'll take the bounce off the EMA, but not until I see this price break the prior 1-minute candle high.
Got it.
So, and that again can be automated.
Okay.
So, and just for other people who trade the strat, I will point out that we can filter based on full time frame continuity. So, if you want to only take trades that are in the direction of the day and the hour, let's
Mhm.
say, you can apply this. So, if you're going to go long, it has to be only when the day and the hour are both green. And if you're going to go short, then they would both have to be red.
Right.
So, and everything in here you see is optional. You can filter by time of day. So I don't want to trade after 11 a.m. No problem. You just turn that on. So rather than create a new trade plan, let's look at the ones that are here so that we can get a feel for what it's like to to actually manage a trade.
Sure.
Some trade plans that are inactive and I can activate them. So let's see if I can find a good example. Oh, well, this is the bid, ask, and last.
Okay.
Now, if we were in an option trade, this would be the bid and ask and last of the option.
Okay.
So you can place orders here by right clicking on the chart. My stop, as well as two of these automated stops.
Hmm.
Every time we tick a minute off, you'll see the candle trail move. So we're about to roll over a minute, and one of these red lines should move. Although, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be visible because these lows are very close together. But you can see there's activity going on. So
Sure.
all of your trade plan is executing, but I still have the ability to do what I want to. So I can, if you watch, one of these green lines will disappear when I click this. I manually took 10% off the table and it took it from the nearest target.
Okay.
And then if you want to trade based on quantity rather than percentage, you can do that here. So
Got it.
you can either increment and decrement, or you can just type in the number.
Yep. Sure. Great.
So that's a lot of the manual controls. There is the percentage and quantity. There's a flatten button. As you saw, you can right click and I can place a target here. So basically you have, and here also you can place a market order to buy to open or sell to close. If it was a short position, it would be reversed.
Yep.
And you could place a limit order there as well.
Got it.
We also show time and sales as they go by, and we color them if they're looking bullish, where people are hitting the ask, or if they're bearish, people are hitting the bid. So
Mhm.
you get some idea of what's happening.
So,
Sure.
if someone wants to become a member of your community and use Trade Unafraid, tell us how that person would go about doing that.
Sure. Well, you go to tradeunafraid.com.
Mhm.
If you go to the pricing tab, then you will see that there's a monthly subscription and an annual subscription.
Okay.
And monthly is $295 a month, and annual is $29.50.
Mhm.
So you save 2 months.
Yep.
Um, you can also subscribe to Trade Unafraid Alerts, which is
Mhm.
$25 a month. If you are a Trade Unafraid subscriber, the alerts are included.
Got it. We're going to do episode 2 with Trade Unafraid Lee Gray, and we're going to talk about just the options component of this. Is that okay?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks for coming, Lee. That was awesome.
Thanks, Lex. It was great. Thank you.
Thanks.